Have you ever thought that a simple act of digging in the garden, you could save someone's life? It seems like a story for a film, but sometimes the heroes are appearing in unexpected ways, and what seemed to be a playful puppy, you can hide a real danger and imminent. This is a morning in a quiet home with a family enjoying their day as usual. The sun was shining, the kids were playing, and the family dog, a mongrel full of energy, I was busy, insists on digging on a specific point in the garden. For those who watch from the outside, it looked just like a beast in pursuit of a ball, or with a new touch, to hide their children's toys. But it's something that the behavior has drawn attention to it in a different way. Have you ever gone through something like this? You may have noticed something odd, a behavior that seemed to be out of the ordinary, but in its routine, it seemed insignificant. Stay with me until the very end, because that's all you're going to find out. Now you can be surprised a lot. At first glance, no one would have thought that the persistence of that dog, that had a greater purpose. He didn't stop to sniff, bark, and dig in as if he was trying to communicate something invisible to the human eye. And this is where it comes to the power of animal instinct, which often goes unnoticed, but it can make all the difference. Curiosity turns to worry when their owners understand how demanding and aware of the dog's being in the moment. And in fact, it's the story that I'm going to tell it to you now. He reveals an unexpected discovery, one that could have prevented this tragedy if it weren't for the sensitivity of this animal. But before I tell you what has been found, it is important to understand the context of that day and how it all began, to which you will be able to track every detail of this story that is a mixture of courage, instinct, and a strong dose of good luck. Get ready, because the next thing that happens is a lesson in how our four-legged friends can be our biggest allies that many times, even before realizing the danger that is all around us. And who knows, but this story will also be able to wake up in you a new sense of the importance of paying attention to the signs the animals can give us, even though they may appear simple to do or just a joke. The events of that day in your backyard, you are going to find out now. What this history has to teach about the natural instinct of dogs promises to surprise the truth. If you can identify with that special connection that we have with our four-legged friends, leave it here in the comments which one you tapped on this story or experience that you have lived with your pet. Your feedback is always very important in order to strengthen our community, where we learn and we breathe together. Oh, and if this content, it made sense to you, don't forget to leave a like, because it helps others to spread this message and to show that this is the kind of story that deserves to be shared. If you wish to continue with stories, tips, and ideas that strengthen the bond with their pets and to arouse emotions, and subscribe to the channel. Your being here is what makes this space to grow and to reach more people and make a difference in the lives of those he loves. These fellows are so special. After all, every comment, every tand, and each entry represents a true connection, an exchange of experiences that will enrich all over the world. So, stay with me, because there is a lot more to come, and I'm pretty sure the next chapter is going to surprise you even more. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that really turns on the journey is to understand what is behind each and every decision we make. There is a story, a reason that many of the times it is hidden on the surface. When you begin to gain access to those behind the scenes to internal, we realize that the choices we make every day, no matter how simple they may seem, they carry a burden of meaning that it has a direct influence on the impact we have on the world around us. This discussion leads us to the question, are we truly aware of the power they have to decide how to act, think, and feel? And more importantly, what is the truth hidden in that many times we do not know, but it can be the difference in our transformation? In a routine that fast, it's easy to lose focus in the substance of those decisions. In the modern life, pushes us to follow the standards preset, to react rather than to act with the intention to do so. It is as if we are stuck in a gear we eat before we give a time out to reflect on our true motives. But from the moment that we begin to pay attention to these details, something that is starting to change. It is clear that the way we act, the more trivial it may seem, they are woven in with our deepest core. In this connection, it begins to reveal that the real change doesn't come from the one great gesture isolated, but it's the understanding that each and every little decision, every thought, every feeling is a fundamental building block in the construction of the impact. And this is where it comes to the matter of the mind. Because you are, in fact, it all starts in your head. If our mind is conditioned to see it limited to doubt their potential, or to accept the narrative of the negative of who we are, is unlikely we will be able to move in the direction of the transformation is genuine. A change of mentality, it's like opening a window, which was closed, so that a new light, renew your energy, and creating a space for you to possibilities previously unimaginable. It is a process of getting to know yourself, to recognize patterns, which in lock, release the beliefs that keep us from achieving the best of who we can be. In this sense, the journey becomes a constant exploration of the interior, and a deep dive into the truth hidden, which is often hidden beneath layers of fear, self-doubt, or self-criticism. As you explore such scenes, and domestic, we also see that our decisions have an impact that goes beyond ourselves. They will reverberate in the lives of those around us, shaping relationships, inspiring, or starting with a battery, creating a chain of influence that they often don't see them at the time. Every action, every word, there may be a seed of change in the life of someone else, even if it's never speaking speak of this in an explicit manner. Thus, it is the responsibility of the understanding of the power of our choices. It makes it even more clear-cut. We are not here just to follow the script and preset by the society, but to write a story that reflects who we truly are and who we wish to become. And then, in the way of the discovery and the revelations of the most influential arise, when we begin to uncover the deeper layers of our own selves. We are motivated by a real one? What are the beliefs that underpin our behavior? What, in fact, do we want to leave as a legacy? These questions will open up doors for you to think that it could change the way we see the world and ourselves. This is the true journey of self-transformation. You understand that each and every decision is an opportunity to align with our truth, the more authentic. And in doing so, we find that the change is not something that is outside of us, but it's a built-in, which also reflects on the impact that we leave on the other side. Now, I want you to go even deeper on this topic, because an understanding of these dynamics within many of the times, it reveals a truth that hides only a few have the courage to face it. It takes courage to admit that a lot of the limitations that are created by ourselves, the stories we tell, or by the fears that feed it. When we are faced with these obstacles, the universe of possibilities opens up in front of us, allowing our true selves to emerge. And then, in a movement of discovery, we find that the transformation is a journey of self-discovery, continuous, where every step takes us closer to who we really are and the impact we can make. It is during this process that we find our strength is not in luck or chance, but is the courage to face the truth no matter how difficult it may be, and the determination to make the choices that will lead us to the ongoing evolution. To understand this, it is clear that the change begins in the mind, but it manifests itself on the action. And this, in turn, creates an impact that extends beyond our own expectations. It's as if, when we discover the truth that is hidden, get a new perspective, a better understanding of what's really important, and what we can achieve when we align our decisions with our deeper purpose. This connection between the mind, the decision-making, and the impact of this is that it really does make a difference in our journey of transformation. And along the way, we discover that every little decision, every insight, every moment of self-discovery leads to a new phase of growth, where the authenticity and the courage to go hand in hand, revealing the true potential that lies within each and every one of us. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the transformation that we don't happen by accident, or simply because you wish for something hard. It is the result of a chain of conscious decisions, of a deeper understanding of our own limitations, and above all, a provision, a genuine look for the hidden truths that many of the times we would prefer to ignore. When we begin to understand that our daily actions, however small they may be, they have a direct impact on the quality of the product, it all starts to get a different size. Every choice is a chance to shape who we are and who we want to be, and that it requires a growth mindset, a commitment to continuous improvement. In this process, we have discovered that the authenticity can be a powerful tool, a sort of compass that will guide us through the paths that align with our inner selves. Many times, when we are so tied to the expectations of the outside, of the opinions of others, or even the fear of being judged, that we lose sight of what's really important, the truth. And it is precisely this search for authenticity that arises with the revelations of the most impressive. Because to be free from masks and face masks, which we use to look a certain way, you begin to see who we really are, with all your faults, but also with all the beauty of the interior. This is a journey of self-discovery that a lot of times it feels like a soundtrack, silent and full of obstacles, both internal. It suggests that the nerve is one of the best allies in this journey. It is not courage for the greatness, for making made amazing, and the courage of everyday experience, the doubts, to question old patterns, and to allow yourself to make mistakes. Because in doing so, we opened up the space for true transformation, one that does not rely on ready-made formulas or shortcuts to the magic. It was born from the decision to look within, to understand the impact that our actions have on the world around us, and on the basis of this understanding, and to build a new narrative for your life. In the process, we also find that the impact that we want to generate it goes far beyond the goals of the external or material gain. This is a change of mindset, a new way of thinking about our own limits, and make those borders on the steps of the growth. With each revelation, each of the insight that comes up along the way acts as a mirror. The more light it reflects not only who we are, but also what we can be when we choose to act in a way that is aligned with our deepest values. It is as if, to clarify, we hold these truths to built-in, delete all the personal protective equipment that we often can't see the path more clearly. And in doing so, we came to understand the real impact happens when our actions are connected with the essence that is more authentic. This connection between the mind, decision-making, and impact, it's a virtuous cycle. The more aware we become the choices we make, the more we strengthen our ability to make decisions in a way that is aligned with who you really are. And so, each and every step that we take in this direction will strengthen our journey of transformation, making it a sort of ripple effect that influences not only our lives, but also the environment around us. It is not a matter of perfection, a life without problems, but in the form of a delivery, the responsibility and the courage to move forward, even when things seem too hard. Because deep down, you know it's true, the change starts within, and in our way of thinking and deciding, and this, in turn, turn, affects everything around us in a way that it is often invisible to the eye, but in a deeply transformative. And it is precisely at this point that reveals the importance of the journey of self-discovery that never ends. The more we go deeper in this world, the inner, the more we realize just how much there is still to discover, to understand, and develop. With each revelation, he invites us to a new stage, a new challenge, a new decision-making that can transform not only our present, but also our future. And then, in a continuous movement, you realize that the truth is hidden, often is in our own strength to face up to who you really are. So, giving up the pride of the fear and doubt that prevents us from evolving, we are a stepping stone to a true transformation, one that echoes in our lives and the impact we want to make it. The connection between our internal decision-making and the impact of the outside world that they generate, it's a mystery that begins to reveal itself when we look for solutions outside and started to look into it more closely and honestly. It is a constant invitation to question all the things that we believe to be the truth is, in order to understand the roots of our emotions and behavior. And from there, you will have to make choices that are truly aligned with who we are of the truth. This is the core of your growth, is a journey that requires courage to face your own shadows, and, at the same time, the humility to recognize that there is always room to improve. Because in the end, to the much more powerful is he that is born from a heart that is on the same page, in the mind that decides the purpose, and a soul that seeks above all else to its own truth. He writes in, "I'm on this journey too. I now want to go more in depth on this topic, because they understand that the journey of transformation, it's like unlocking a secret that is hidden behind the appearances. It is as if, behind every decision, every choice we make, there was a layer of invisible influence, beliefs, and constraints that shape who we are, and often without any notice. In this layer, which we call the programming of mind, it acts as a filter, muffler, and determine our reactions, our limitations, and even what we consider possible or impossible to make. And it is precisely at this point that the real journey begins. Don't you just want to change it, you need to understand what is really behind that, of our actions are automatic. Many times, you'll see the kind of emotional baggage that is, unconsciously, to prevent us from moving forward. These emotions are fear, self-doubt, or guilt. They serve as anchors that hold us to the past. It was difficult to build a more aligned with our deepest desires. And here comes the revelation that only a few have the courage to face it. Many of our limitations are not external, but internal, created by a narrative that we've learned to accept it as the truth. When we begin to explore in this universe is built, we find that the change is not just an issue of discipline or willpower. It is a process of self-observation, and for the courage to face that, we would prefer to conceal. It's a dive into one's own truth is often uncomfortable, but the key to that transformation happens from the inside to the outside. And in time, the mind begins to become open to new possibilities, new perspectives that before seemed out of reach. It is as if a curtain was slowly lifted up, revealing a different scene, the most widespread, and where the limitations that become the stories that we can write back. During this time, we are also able to understand the impact our choices have on our reality. Each and every decision, however small it may seem, it is a seed sown in the soil of our lives. And when to plant these seeds with intention, we can begin to see a subtle change, but it's powerful. And in our journey, transformation then is no longer something foreign, and turns out to be a construction of a conscious, day in and day out. It is at this point that we realize that the true power lies in our ability to decide who you want to be, to align our actions with our deepest values, and be prepared to pay the price of a continuously evolving. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the key to this transformation lies in the understanding of the impact that we can create is much more than changes at the surface. It is within our ability to influence others, is not only our history, but it is also the story of those around us. When one is freed from the bonds which hold us in the past, we have become the agents of change, able to inspire others to also seek their own truth. And it's this journey of self-discovery, courage, and purpose. It becomes, in fact, a true revolution is internal. It echoes in the external world in ways that have not always possible to predict in advance. In this scenario, the connection to who we truly are and who we want to become stronger, and now being able to see situations in a new light. The barriers are no longer obstacles, and transform them into opportunities for growth. Every challenge into a lesson, and each and every of fear, and a chance to strengthen your confidence and trust. And at the same time, we realize that a journey is not linear. It is full of ups and downs, the unexpected discoveries, and moments of silence. It is in this silence that too often we find the answers that you seek, because that is where our soul is able to hear things that the mind seems to insist on ignoring. As we move forward, we become more and more aware of the environmental impact of our words, our actions, and that we do not do so. And in this case, what once seemed impossible becomes a possibility, a horizon that we can. And at the same time, we realize that the biggest secret of this trajectory, it is not on arrival, but the transformation that takes place along the way. This change is an opportunity for self-esteem each and every day to nurture a growth mindset and to understand that, even in the face of these difficulties, there is is always a new chance to start over, rewrite our history, the courage, and authenticity. And so, each and every step that we take in this journey takes us closer to our essence, to that kernel of truth that is often hidden under a layer of uncertainty and doubt. It is this constant movement of self-discovery that we find the strength to move forward, even when everything seems to be conspiring against you. Because, deep down, we know that it is a search for what it's worth, on a quest to transform lives and reveals our true nature, and in which, above all, connects us to the things that truly matter, our own soul, and that never failed to be there, just waiting to be discovered. He writes in, "I'm on this journey too. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that's the true transformation happens not only with the actions of the surface or changes in time sensitive. It is born of a deeper understanding, a genuine connection with the thing that moves us to the truth. And many times in this connection, it is obscured by the layers of doubt, fear, and limiting beliefs that have built up over time, often without realizing it. It is as if, in the rush of day-to-day of the people, to be sure of who we really are, our potential, and ended up living in a twisted version of ourselves, which is molded by what others expect or what society has taught us to value. In this journey of self-discovery, there is a crucial moment, which usually goes unnoticed, the revelation of the truth to hide it. The truth is that the who, for some reason, it has been hidden away or drowned, either by our own insecurities or because of external influences. It's like a seed that has been planted in some corner of our mind, and that at the time, it was buried deep beneath the layers of the convention, fears, and hopes. When we begin to unearth this truth, something inside of us to be lights in a way you never thought possible. It is a kind of freedom, a breakdown of current invisible that was the last of the doubt and limitation. And in doing so, we are beginning to see the impact of this change is, in reality, the way in which we see the world, and especially on how we feel on the inside. But, in order for this transformation to be truly sustainable, it is necessary to go beyond the surface understanding. It is necessary to immerse yourself in its essence, to understand the behind the scenes of that process, and to recognize that change, the courage, decision-making, and a mindset to be renewed. From the moment you start to wonder what they really think, we cannot see the choices that were a part of our history, and to understand how they have shaped the way up here. With this understanding, it is liberating, because it shows that many of our limitations are, in fact, the constructions of the mind that they can be deconstructed. And in doing so, we open up new possibilities for a better understanding of who we are and what we can achieve. This is the way he allows us to experience the impact of our decisions. When we begin to align our actions with our own inner truth, everything around you seems to be turning. The opportunities that will arise in the most natural way, and the people around us realize that a change, and a lot of times, they see us in a different way. This change in internal echoes on the outside, creating a domino effect that goes beyond the expected, touching every aspect of our lives. It is as if, when we connect with our essence, we are, in fact, waking up with a strength that was always there, just waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. And this awakening is, in turn, did not happen at one time or another. It is a continuous journey, which is marked by the small revelations that day, for the choices that strengthen our brand new mindset, and for a few moments in deep thought. Each step in this path takes us closer to the truth that is hidden, that which is often overlooked or ignored because of the external noise, the distraction, and uncertainty. And in the movement of the discovery, I'm beginning to understand that the impact of our transformation is the courage to look within, to accept our own vulnerability, to embrace what you really are, without fear of what others might think. When you delve deeper and deeper in this connection, the interior, you start to realize that change is not something that happens from the outside in, but from the inside to the outside. It is a silent revolution that begins in the mind to the heart, in the way that we position ourselves in front of the world. And in the process, we discover that freedom comes from understanding that we are the only ones responsible for our growth, for our own decisions and our own happiness. This understanding makes us stronger, makes us more resilient in the face of obstacles, and it drives us forward, even when everything seems to come crashing down. Because deep down, we know that our greatest strength lies in our ability to make our own history, and to give a new meaning to the things that limit us, and construct a new reality, in line with the core closer to the truth. If you've come this far, it's because you've already taken the first step on this journey of self-discovery. And when you look at the inside of yourself, you may have noticed that there's a part of you that is still crying out for attention, for freedom, for the expression is true. It's that part of you that, at one time or another, it leads us to question everything they believe to be the truth. It challenges us to change, and inspires us to pursue a better version of ourselves. And even though the times may seem dark and full of challenges, and we are sure that it remains unchanged, that is the transformation really happens when we look at an honest look within, to embrace our own truth and to take control of our own impact. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the journey of transformation that we are exploring, is not only about the changes in the surface or the actions of others. It involves having a genuine internal revolution, one that happens happens behind the scenes in our minds, where our deeply held beliefs, fears, more quiet, and we expect more of the unconscious hidden. It is in this space that is subtle, often invisible to the eye, that's all you really get. And believe me, and understand that this universe is inside, is what is the difference between those who remain in a routine that is comfortable for those who actually decide to get out of their comfort zone to gain something, and authentic and long-lasting. The truth is hidden. They often ignore or pretend not to see that our decisions are shaped by this. The array is invisible to the thoughts and the feelings and emotions. Every choice, every action, every reaction is a manifestation mail that we have in there. When we are not aware of it, we are living in a sort of autopilot mode and repeating patterns that seem to be automatic, even though I know that they do not lead to the growth of the real. It is as if we are stuck in a cycle. That is, the more we try to change it externally, it remains strong and is powered by our own built-in limitations. But then comes a revelation of the powerful. The transformation does not happen by accident. She was born in the time in which we choose to see the truth hidden from the front, even though this will hurt. Because in doing so, we take the first step towards real change comes from the inside out. It is in the process of self-discovery, one that often involves a face of doubt, guilt, and even to the same vulnerabilities that we would prefer to conceal, that we discover who we really are behind the mask that we wear to protect ourselves. And by enabling us to this, honestly, we can begin to understand that all the things that prevent us from moving forward is, in fact, it is a chance to grow, a chance to rewrite our history from the inside to the outside. The inside of this journey, it is important to understand that the impact that we have on the world, it's not something that is born out of an attitude on the surface, but a mindset changed. When we align our actions with our deepest values, we create an energy that reverberates in addition to our own lives. This energy, in turn, influences our daily decisions, our relationships, our dreams, and even the way we think about the challenges. Because deep down, the real change happens when we decide that our impact will not be given due to the fear or doubt, but out of a genuine desire to evolve, to make a difference, and to have a positive, mindful of the truth that is more authentic. So think about that connection between the inside and the outside, between what we know and what we do. This is the one that leads us to a deeper understanding of what it means to transform. It's not just about changing a routine or to acquire new knowledge, but also about to rewrite our way of thinking so that it's an accurate reflection of what we want into our lives. It is a process of reconstruction and the release of old patterns and the creation of a new narrative, where our actions, they become an extension of what we do believe in the truth. And when you do that, you start to see the impact that we have created in this world is, in fact, a natural consequence of this new way of life, more in tune, more aware, and more accurate. And in that moment, it becomes clear that the journey is not linear or easy. Many of the times, it is about having the courage to face your own shadows and patience to deal with their own set of limitations, and the discipline to keep your focus in the direction you want to go. But it's all part of the process of building a new version of itself, one that meant that the highest impact happens when we get to transform our way of thinking before you try to change the world around us. After all, there is nothing more powerful than a mind that is aligned with a bona fide business purpose, can be used to influence everything around you with authenticity and power. He comments that it makes no sense to me. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is one of the biggest pitfalls that we encountered during the course of this transformation. It's just believe that the change to the outside is enough to create a real revolution in the countryside. The company, with the obstacles of day-to-day and the expectations of others, seem to be, sometimes, pushing us in a direction that is not in harmony with who you really are or want to be. And then, in the game of looks, we forget that it all starts within our own minds. This is the port of entry for any of the transformed to be real. When we understand that our choices, our emotions, and our perceptions shape our own realities, the impact of this change, if it is almost that instant, as it reverberates through every aspect of your life. The bottom line is that too often, we are caught up in old patterns of behavior and the limiting beliefs that you don't even realize that we're carrying around with us. These beliefs act like filters that distort our view of the world, and this is where the majority of people end up sabotaging it without even noticing. Imagine what a change it's a question of willpower, or the constant struggle it is a common misconception. In fact, it is a profound reprogramming of the mental, as a kind of review of the entire system of beliefs that guide us. At this point, it is the self. It becomes a very powerful tool, because it is only when we truly know we can identify these patterns, you need to be desconstruidos to take the place of a new narrative in the processing, so it is not a one-off event, but a continuous journey of discovery and reconstruction. Every decision, every reflection, every moment of pause to ask questions about what we truly want and who we are willing to give up are contributing to this trend. It is as if we are building a new, strong, and steady to hold all of the things that we want to achieve. And it can't be. To a certain surface, you need to be grounded in the values of authentic, on purpose, to make our eyes shine and our actions line up with what we believe to be the truth. One thing that many people are no longer with you in this journey, it is important to nurture this mindset on a daily basis. fitness. As well as exercise for the body in the gym, you need to exercise your mind and strengthen the new beliefs, practice gratitude, developing an attitude of continuous learning. Because you are, in fact, the real change requires a certain courage to let go of the old, and a lot more is still the patience to deal with the setbacks and moments of doubt, and a strong determination to move forward, even when your path seemed too hard to do. This is the journey of a person who understands that the most lasting impact doesn't come from the action of external isolation, but the alignment, depth between what we think, feel, and do. And, to the extent that such inner transformation begins to happen, everything around us begin to fit it all in a way that is different. The people, the opportunities, and even the challenges become more and more clear, easier to understand, because deep down, it's all a matter of perception. When your mind is aligned with a true purpose, she is able to see beyond the apparent limitations, to see possibilities where there were no obstacles. And this change in perspective, that is, without a doubt, one of the biggest revelations in the process of growing up. It turns out that the real impact comes from the inside to the outside. The mind is strengthened, which influences each and every decision, every action, every moment of the journey. With this in mind, it is also important to understand that this transformation is not a race, nor a competition all the time. Each of them has its own rhythm, its own idiosyncrasies, its own internal battles, and that's fine. What's really important is to stay true to your commitment to evolve and seek to understand what's behind the emotions, the question of the reactions, and learn how to act in my life. How much more of this mentality, if you commit, the more natural it will be in the process of change. It's almost like a second nature, which arises as a matter of course, without the need for effort to the extreme, only a daily dedication to this new way of thinking. For this reason, it's critical that the people to cultivate that connection with your own soul, without allowing itself to be carried away by present standards set by the world of what's out there. After all, it's the true transformation is to go on a journey of self-discovery, in alignment with the things that really make our eyes shine and our hearts pulsarum stronger. When you can't do it all, everything seemed to be difficult or impossible will make sense to you, because we see the impact of our choices, and above all, of our way of thinking. So, this is a new version of ourselves. We begin to be more authentic, more powerful, more real, a real revolution in the home that influences everything around it in a way that no one can deny it. And it is precisely at this point that the real transformation begins to happen, when you realize that you have all the things that seem to be an insurmountable obstacle in his path was nothing more than an opportunity in disguise. Changing one's mind, such a turn of a key, which often takes time to come, who reveals himself to be the fuel that propels you on a journey of self-discovery and growth. When you realize that your choices have a direct impact on your reality, and everything gets a whole new dimension to your every action, every thought, and it was part of a bigger picture, a work of art that is you are creating with your hands and your mind. You know that feeling that everything is under control, you can navigate through the challenges more clearly? This is the result of a conscious, deep in the inner transformation, is the starting point for a life that is more in line with your values, dreams, and goals. It is not a matter of waiting for circumstances to change, but you realize that you are the agent of that change. It's as if, when you take out the curtains that hide the truth that is hidden, you would see more clearly the opportunities that were always there, just waiting for her decision to take action. And, in the process, a lot of times, we find strength. Because of changing one's mind is how to break down an old structure that has already served for a time, but we are now limiting our growth. It takes courage to give up old patterns of belief that have been built up from childhood, or from behaving in ways that seem safe, but it actually prevents us from moving forward. This resistance is, at bottom, is nothing else but the fear of the unknown, afraid to leave it behind in the past it was familiar, even if we imprison. But at the same time, it is in this confrontation that lies the greatest opportunity for development. From the moment you decide to deal with the resistance, he begins to realize that the impact of this decision reverberates in all areas of your life. Your routine, your relationships, and the way you see the world, everything is changing in a quiet, almost imperceptible in the beginning, but it builds up every day. And then here comes the one key element, the self-awareness. Get to know the truth, stripped of their masks and defenses. It's the one that makes it possible for this change to be permanent and not transient. It's as if, when you understand who you really are, you could align their actions with their deepest values, thus creating a consistency that enhances its authenticity. This is a journey of transformation. Often reveal hidden truths that were hidden beneath layers of fear, self-doubt, or even auto-sabotage them out. When you allow yourself to look within honestly, you discover the patterns, or both, that is not even imagine having that much power over your life. And then, when you bring this aspect to the fore on, you start to break down the things that you do it all again, open the door to new possibilities, new dreams, new resolutions. This is how to clean the inside, then eliminating everything that does not add to and strengthen the things which really matter at all. But is this change for a more powerful? That is to say, it doesn't just happen overnight. It is a continuous process, as a kind of journey of self-development in daily, where each small step builds a solid foundation foundation for the future. And in the course of this journey, we realize that the real power lies in the persistence in order to reinvent themselves, even in the face of the most challenging obstacles. Every challenge is an opportunity to reaffirm his mind, to strengthen his conviction that it is possible to turn a dream into a reality, even when all evidence points to the contrary. I now want to go more in depth on this subject, because in essence, this transformation is not just a change in behavior, but it is a revolution in the way we view life. It is a constant revelation of the power to create the reality is, above all, in all of us. And when you understand it, everything changes once and for all. We work with more purpose, to make more informed decisions that are aligned with our values as a more authentic, and to understand the impact of these choices that extends beyond the individual to influence the world around us in a way that is more conscious. It is a journey of self-transformation, which, in fact, reveal our true essence, that which often remains hidden under the layers of doubts and limitations, but that, once aroused, is shown as the most powerful force of all. I now want to go more in depth on this subject, for it is precisely this search for authenticity that a lot of times we are faced with the biggest revelation of who we really are. When we begin to align our actions with our deepest values, one's kind of a transformation, a silent start to happen. It's not something that happens at one time or another, but it's an ongoing process of deconstruction and reconstruction, where every decision, however small it may seem to you, it will also constructing a new narrative of the inside. It's as if, when you open up the space for such reflection, the conscious, to have some, also a gateway to our full potential in hiding, the one who's always been there, waiting for the moment to be discovered. In this way, it is common to understand the limitations of that before seemed to be insurmountable. In fact, they were the only barriers that are created by the mindset that, in the condicionava to accept what we have been taught. Gradually, we begin to question those hidden truths and to understand that many of our beliefs are, in fact, the filters, which prevent us from seeing our true selves. And in doing so, we are asked to rewrite our history, and no longer as a victim of circumstances, but as well-aware you on a journey of self-discovery and growth. This change in perspective is the one that gives rise to a real revolution in the internal transformation, which will impact all areas of our life, relationships, career, health, and even our relationship with the world. The impact of this new position is deep. When we begin to act with more purpose, we realize that it is our choices will no longer be mere reactions to external situations, and will reflect an intention to live in accordance with what they believe to be right. It's as if every step was a statement of authenticity. That clarity, in its turn, feeds into a kind of virtuous circle. The more aligned we are with our lives, the more powerful it is our sense of freedom, be in control of our own destiny, even in the face of adversity. And in it, you start to realize that the real power lies in the courage to be true to ourselves, even if that means going against what society expects, or what other people believe to be the best for us. Even so, it is important to understand that this change is not a straight line. There are moments of doubt, uncertainty, trial, and error. And that's okay, because you are, in essence, this is the process that is to be marked by a day of autocompassion and acceptance. Each and every offense, it is an opportunity to learn more about what really matters to you, to refine our understanding of who we are and what we want to shape the world around us. And on this understanding, the only deepens as we dive behind the scenes of our very own urban, explore our emotions, our dreams, and deepest fears. This is the true essence of awakening, to recognize that behind the mask, there exists a being that is aligned with a deeper truth ready to be revealed. And then, when you realize that latent force, we can begin to understand that our actions, however small they may be, they have a bigger impact than you think. A decision has been made with the authenticity of it can trigger a series of changes that will reverberate throughout our wide network of relationships and even the influence of the environment around us. That's the beauty of taking an active role in their own history to transform our way of thinking, have an effect on the energy of the universe, creating a synergy that drives us to continuously evolve. It's as if we're building a bridge between our inner world and the outside world, where every choice in life is a step in that direction and a sign that we're truly living up to our deeper truth. And at this time, the journey is made even more fascinating because you start to realize that the real transformation takes place not just on the surface, but behind the scenes of our work, where the roots of our beliefs, the more entrenched they are in private. It is against this backdrop that we can solve the revelations of the most significant ones, the ones who truly change the way we look at life. When we go into these layers, we have discovered that the authenticity of it's a never-ending source of power, capable of transforming not only our career, but also inspired those who accompanies them to reflect on their own journeys. After all, it is the truth, hide the often hidden under a layer of fear or doubt. But, when it's revealed, we are now experiencing the freedom that is beyond the understanding of the rational. And so, with every step in this journey of self-transformation, we have become more and more aware of the impact that we can make to live according to our nature. This is a trend that is not limited to the individual, but that it manifests itself in the way that we interact with the world, and the decisions we make, and the energy that it emanates. This deep connection between our inner selves and the outside world. It reveals a powerful truth. When we change, we also help the expansion of the universe around us. And in the process, we have found that the greater the revolution begins within, and in the stillness of our being, where it won the meaning and connect to form closer to the truth. To complete this discussion, I want to let out a seed. Know the word that best describes the journey of self-discovery. You can be with courage, freedom, authenticity, or anything else that will rage in your heart. Write in the comments. This is a word that symbolizes the point of a greater connection with one's spirit, because when you share and strengthen the exchange of energy, and we are reminded of what this change is. In fact, it is a collective journey, where each and every one of us is a critical piece in the puzzle of authenticity and the impact of it. If you've read this far, I want to thank you for staying with me until the end of the conversation. I felt that this exchange of ideas has been special in some way. We were able to re-emphasize the need to connect with the things that really make any sense to you. If this content made you felt, enjoy, and leave a like, so we can keep bringing you the topics that make all the difference in your routine, and you are on your journey of self-discovery. Oh, and if you're still haven't subscribed to the channel, that would be a good time to do so. Our goal is to create a space where we can share experiences, learn together, and to strengthen that connection is what is most real to you within each and every one. This video is designed to add value and help you see new opportunities for growth and authenticity. So, if you think that this change is worth it, it comes to us. He says that it was the message that the more you played, or the one that you have identified the most, your participation enriches this space. To continue on this journey, there's a video right here on the side, which complements this subject. You can click and keeps me there as well. I'm pretty sure that's going to help you to dig deeper in this discussion. And who knows, figuring out a new ways to live more lightly on the planet, courage, and authenticity. Thank you for being a part of this story, and until the next time you chat.